Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Baxter Student Ambassador Program webinar of our 2022 season. My name is Dan McDonald, Sales and Marketing Development Associate with Baxter Media, and I'm here with Tyanna Chittenden, one of our student finalists from Fleming College. Now, just before we get into things, I'd like to give an enthusiastic shout out to our program sponsors this year. We have Manulife, Propel, powered by Tourism HR Canada, ACTA, the Association of Canadian Travel Agencies, TIO, the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, and SCAL Canada. Thank you for helping to make BSAP a continued success. I'd also like to let everyone know that at the end of this webinar, you'll have a chance to submit a question or two to our finalist. To do so, please type it into the Q&A section of the public chat box, which will be towards the right-hand side of this screen, and those questions will be answered in due time. And remember, this is a live session, so your patience is appreciated during any technical difficulties that might arise. And without further ado, I will now hand things over to Tyanna. Welcome, Tyanna. Thanks for being here.
Hi, I'm Tyanna. I'm the student from Fleming College. I'm doing my presentation on Qatar. Personally, I love the area. I'm actually in the process of doing an application to go there, hopefully for September, but we will see. So let's get started. Some general information about Qatar. Qatar is located in the Persian Gulf. It's located right beside Saudi Arabia, the UAE, as well as Brahman. It's most commonly referred to as the thumb of Saudi Arabia. However, while you're in Qatar, don't mention that because it is a big dispute right now due to the blockade that's been going on. The capital of Qatar, sorry, is Doha. The currency is the Qatar Rial. The main flight carrier is Qatar Airways. The main airport is Hamid International Airport, also referred to as DOH. The population is about 2.881 billion as of 2020. The population has most likely grown a little, though I do know that many expats have left due to the pandemic. The land mass of Qatar is 11,571 kilometers squared. And the current ruler is Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. And the Al Thani family has been in charge of Qatar for many, many, many years. It's also important to note that anybody who is in the government is more than likely related to the Al Thani clan in some shape or form. You'll even notice that their prime minister is an Al Thani as well. So transportation while in Qatar, personally, I use the car the most, although my Canadian driver's license only lasts about a week. So it's kind of important that when you do decide if you are going to drive while in Qatar, you want to make sure that you have an international driver's license and that you can drive the entire time you choose to be there. Of course, you can go by bike, metro, taxi, which is a bright teal color. I know New York has the famous yellow taxis. However, in Doha, you will see that they're a very bright, bright teal color. And of course, the option of water taxi as well. And the only reason why I didn't put walking on here is the temperature is really, 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 really warm there. So you can only walk for about 15 to 30 minutes before you're so hot and irritated that it's not worthwhile. So while I was there, for the most part, I was doing a lot of walking and Ubering. And you have to take frequent breaks in between different locations, so you're getting lots and lots and lots of air conditioning. So the target market for 2022, the main focus has been soccer fans because we have FIFA coming into Qatar for the first time ever. It's the first time it's been located in the Middle East. However, in upcoming years, I believe that the target market is best suited for couples between the ages of 21 and 50. Now, there's many reasons for this, as it's budget friendly. So you can get the luxurious type feel that you would get in other countries. However, it's a lot cheaper. The only reason I recommend couples going is that as of yet, there's still a lot of stigma around women going alone. So it is recommended that a woman goes out in public with a male. But it is a wonderful experience going. I went as an independent female. It's just that I personally was very uncomfortable with the amount of looks I was getting just for being alone and a woman, and it's not normal there. So I do recommend it's more for couples or males between those ages who are interested in the culture and modern architecture, even you could say. And so then there's some customs to keep in mind. As a woman, you are required to wear a skirt or pants below the knee. Your shoulders and anything provocative must be covered. As a woman, it's highly recommended you get accompanied by a male, as I previously mentioned. So my stepmom actually lives over there, and she can't go into Sephora without my father present, or else she won't get served. No one will help her if she's looking for something. Public displays of affection are frowned upon, so while you're out and about, I wouldn't suggest holding hands. I wouldn't suggest kissing or putting your arm around your significant other, um, just because they do practice Islam there, and that's not something that you do outside of the home in their culture. It's also important to remember, because they practice Islam, that the weekend is Friday and Saturday while you're there. So Fridays, everything tends to be closed until about noon, just as they go to practice their prayer in the mosques, and then Saturdays go about as regular. So some key factors that really draw people into Qatar is the fact that it's so warm there. It's really warm. It's great temperature. I usually refer to it as kind of like a Canadian summer, but a little bit warmer. And it's not nearly as humid if you go during in between November and April, simply because there's no humidity. So it's warm, but you're not like sticking to yourself, which is always uncomfortable. It's a very unique destination. It's not very often you talk to anybody and get to say, "Oh, yeah, I went to Qatar," and then they went to Qatar too. It's very, very, very rare, very uncommon. Simply, a lot of people don't think to go to the Middle East just because of the stigma that goes around the area. And on top of all this, there's the combination that you would get from Dubai without the price of Dubai, while in Qatar. So you're getting a combination of the modern and traditional aspects in the Qatari culture. So you see these modern buildings that are shaped like cactus flowers, and tents, and they have one tower. Um, it's just like this big round cylinder, and of course, it's got some pretty inappropriate nicknames. There's tons and tons and tons of shopping. I believe while I was there in 2019, there was 82 shopping centers at the time, and they were planning on building more because FIFA was coming, as well as the museums. They're very, very popular there. So there's the Qatar Museum, which is like a whole, it's kind of like a museum of history, if you will. It goes from prehistoric times all the way up to the modern day and the modern events that have happened in Qatar, and as well as the MIA, or the Museum of Islamic Art, which is all about the Islamic art all throughout Qatar and other nations as well. And it also really draws in people because of the desert. The desert is so unique. It's so much fun. You get to do dune bashing. You can take your ATVs out. You can take dirt bikes. You can go in 4x4s. You can see the camels. It's a lot of fun. And of course, there's the beaches as well. And one great thing about the beaches is you can actually spend some time out on the beaches, and you could stay overnight, and you can actually see dolphins in the morning out in the Persian Gulf. And it's a really, really unique experience that not a lot of people even think about doing, because how many people associate the middle of the desert with dolphins? It's not something you think of. So then I wanted to get into our tour operators. In this picture here, this is J-Lo from Qatar International Tours. He was my family's tour guide. He took us into Zikri, Qatar. Um, Wonderful gentleman. Some of the other tour operators are 365 Adventures, Arabian Adventures, Doha Bus, Falcon Tours, Golden Adventure, and Qatar International Tours, as I had previously mentioned. So we hired JLo because he spoke English, he speaks Filipino, he speaks Japanese, he has Italian friends as well. So we had this opportunity to discuss in both English and Filipino, as my stepmom is Filipino. And it was a really wonderful conversation. He knows so much about the area, and I would honestly go back to see him again. Like, I ended up being friends with him on Facebook because he's such a wonderful character to be around. So we had the opportunity in Zikri to see the east, west, west, east, the oryx, some wild ostrich, and he also showed us a bunch of things that were relative to the Qatar military at a time. So some key destinations, as I had mentioned, was the Qatar Museum, which is prehistoric to current history. It goes about the excuse me, the coup that happened in 1996, and how there was the first ever change of six without somebody being overthrown. It was just casually handed off to his son, which is really rare in their culture. But it was the first in 2013, so it was really celebrated in the museum, and that was really wonderful to see. There's also the opportunity to see many different crowns and jewels that you probably didn't even think Qatar was related to, but Qatar's culture relies a lot on the pearl diving, and some of it was even sent off to the Queen of England at the I think it was Queen Victoria, to be added to her crown. Banana Island is also something that's very, very popular. One of the great places I highly recommend for couples. It's like a tourist spa destination, and it's really beautiful, very peaceful, very relaxing. The Sukla Keef, I'd say 3 hours, but it's a wonderful 3 hours. You get to try the local foods. You get to try lots of different types of teas. There's different types of smoking. You can also you get your souvenirs there, buy headscarves, henna is done there. Um, and there's lots of unique sightseeing things to do there. They even have this little unique sh- shop that's just dedicated to World War II. And I thought that was really, really unique because like they have a lot in their collection for it being such a small space. There's Mesayid. Mesayid's where a lot of the dune bashing happens. So it's just big, massive dunes, and it's right in there by the water, so you can go see the beach as well, and you can spend a whole day in the desert and on the beach. Um, and you can actually see a picture of Mesayid at sunset up in the top right corner there. And then, of course, as I mentioned, in Zakrit, there's the west east or east west west east, and this is just four big metallic structures, and they're all going east to west or west to east depending on how you look at them. And if you line yourself up in the right stance, you can actually just look like one big um, structure. And then, of course, there's a Museum of Islamic Art. It actually has a continuation of Richard Sierra's East, West, West, East, and it's located just outside of the Museum of Islamic Art. And then within the museum itself, it has tons and tons and tons of art relating to Islam or other countries that partook in the Islamic art. So now we're moving on to really, really important information for travel agents. So the best times to visit are between November and April. National language is Arabic, but a majority of our population there speaks English, which is wonderful. But this is all just because of the amount of expats. So there's only 12% of Qataris that actually live in Qatar. And then the rest of the population is all expats. So there's people from India, Pakistan, the Philippines, Canada, the US, etc. One thing you really, really want to make sure you know is you want to drink lots and lots and lots of water. You will get dehydrated way faster than you expect. However, do not drink from the taps. The water there is contaminated simply from it gets filtrated so much that it's actually harmful. Some people I met had to buy special heads just for their showers because it would affect their scalp because of how badly, like, how many chemicals are in the water. As of right now, they're having a bit of booking issues due to FIFA 2022. When Qatar got the contract, they didn't have enough suites for everybody, and now they're just in the process of getting cruise ships in and having it so that there's more places to stay for the full 11 days. And it's also really important to note that they really do push recycling. They're trying to become more sustainable and more conscious of the earth. And I think this is really important, especially when you're telling guests, just so that they remember that this is something that they are actively working on. So, of course, oh, sorry. So, of course, I mentioned FIFA a lot. So, it's really incorporating the Qatari history. Out there in the tent, they're using a big traditional Arabic, the word is slipping me. I will come back to that. But the Al Bayt Stadium is all made up of, it's supposed to look like a Buddhan tent, and this is their way of incorporating the culture into it as well. So, because of all the hotel capacity, as I mentioned earlier, they've got cruise ships coming in, and they're trying to keep up with the Qatari culture and everything they're doing, and they're really enforcing this, and they're trying to be sustainable. So after December 18th, all the stadiums are able to be dismembered, and Qatar is actually donating them to countries that are in need of um, like stadiums or somewhere for their kids to play soccer. And that is what the country's doing in order so that they don't have all these stadiums hanging about. And on top of that, everything is relatively close. I believe my father said it was about an hour and a half between each stadium. So if you need to see a game in one spot, it won't take you forever to get to the next stadium. And finally, travel insurance is really, really, really super duper important when you're in Qatar. There's many reasons. Qatar's medical expenses are very, very expensive. So they require that you have medical coverage in your travel insurance. And um, sorry, this is very modern. Do you see historic? Hi, Ian. Yes, there are lots of historic districts. They're more located up towards the north, and you can actually see some in Zakrit as well as. Oh, I'm trying to think so hard here. I have a link here. Give me one second. Um, so Mesaid has a lot to do with the dunes, and then I'm just going for a quick peek here. Um, there's a name, and I am letting it slip me. They are located more towards the north for sure. Um, anyway, so sorry, back to the travel insurance. So it's also really great for the cancellations and possible side effects due to the pandemic. Um, Qatar's been very, very strict about their rules about COVID, and they're really, really enforcing it. My father, as he lives there, he's had to rearrange even just coming and going from Qatar several times due to the amount of rules that they have. So he was required prior to leaving, he had to have both of his vaccinations plus a booster and his flu shot if he wanted to ever return back into Qatar. And so, because of all these ever changing rules, travel insurance is, of course, your best bet. Do you guys have any other questions?
Thanks very much, Tyanna. And that was definitely a good question that Ian had, which you've answered already. But if anyone else in attendance would like to ask a question live, please do so just to the chat box or the Q&A box towards the right-hand side of your screen. Yeah, and I encourage our attendees, don't be shy, and we still have a few minutes left if you want to ask any questions there. Tyanna, what would you consider to be your dream job?
Uh, well, I'm really leaning in towards social media marketing right now. I'm getting really, really interested in how that all works. And I think that it's so interesting, especially like because you can be in so many different places and promote so many different things. And to me, that is so interesting. And I would love to be able to do that. I like promoting the odd countries that nobody really chooses. So, like my Instagram is traveling Tyanna, and I do a lot of work focusing on unpopular countries. So, Qatar is one of the ones that I really push and really focus on just because it's so unpopular. Um, all right, so I'm seeing Ian's comment here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Uh,
Ian says,
yeah.
interesting presentation. I've never been to Qatar. Would you suggest those visiting Qatar alone or combine it with other countries when traveling?
um, I think it really depends on what you want to do. I met one lady who thought she could see Doha in a day. I think she only had like 12 hours between her for her layover. And
Oh,
she's like, "Oh
wow.
yeah, we're just gonna go do this." And once I got into Doha, I was like, "Oh my god, you can't see Doha in 12 days. There's so many interesting things." So I feel like if you can spend a week there, spend a week there, and if you want to go somewhere else after, go ahead. But it's really important to remember about the blockade. So you can't go to the UAE, and you can't go to Brahman, and you can't go to Saudi Arabia, and there's a bunch of countries you can't go to. So I would branch it out with something outside of the blockade. So while I was there, I stayed there for a month, and then I went to a week in Turkey, and then I came back. I think a month was a little long for my stay, but it worked. I was visiting family, so it worked out my favor. But I would say maybe about a week to maybe 2 weeks even, because you wanna spend a weekend on Banana Island if you get the chance. It's absolutely beautiful. And of course, you need to take some time to go see the historic sites as you were mentioning. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. But, if you get the opportunity to see Zikri, you'll see, um, lots of different, they're like little huts, and they're located on the top of like these little, like, I think it's limestone. There's no way to access it, but it's what you could have done.
Well, that sounds fascinating. Yeah, thanks for the advice.
No problem. And the first time I've seen guitar in these presentations, uh, what would be another oh my goodness gracious. I was just talking about this with a friend actually. I'm super eager to I want to go to Saudi Arabia. And I feel like it's just because I wanna see the cultural differences between Qatar and Saudi Arabia. My only issue about going to Saudi Arabia is, again, being a woman. That's my biggest issue, is that I would need to have an escort, and that frustrates me, and a lot of things that I'd like to do in Saudi Arabia, I would have to be a male. So unfortunately, that's on my list, but it's one of those things where I probably won't see it for quite some time.
Yeah, that is definitely a frustrating aspect of it, for sure.
It really is. Like I had mentioned earlier, being a woman alone in Qatar, like, it was bad. Like, I was just seeing, like, I was staying in, like, 2 blocks from the mall, and I was meeting my friend there, and because I just knew to go with I made, like, male friends because it was easier to do that, and I would literally just walked over to the mall, which was 2 blocks, and every single male I walked by stared, and I was so uncomfortable, and it was,
Wow.
like, us alone for, like, not even 10 minutes, but it's so uncomfortable because you just see every single person staring at you like, "Where's her escort? Why isn't she with a male? Why is she alone?" And you can tell that that's what they're thinking, and it doesn't help that I was white, and,
Mhm.
it was awkward. I loved going there, I loved being there, but it's one of those things where I highly recommend, if you can take some, like, even if it's a male best friend and if you're a woman, bring him with you so you're not
Yeah.
uncomfortable the whole time.
That is good advice. Yeah, definitely. And of course, being Canadian, it's just so alien to us to think of that being the case over there, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, it is, it really is. It's such a unique experience going there for sure.
It looks like that's it for the questions, and looks like we've covered everything. But Tyanna, thank you so much for your thorough presentation. I'd like to
Thank
thank
you.
everyone that attended this webinar today. Thank you all so much for being here. And Tyanna, thank you so much for presenting for us. It was great having you here virtually with us today.
Great, thank you so much.
And congratulations again on being named a finalist for the 2022 Baxter Student Ambassador Program. We'll be in touch over the next couple
Oh,
of weeks.
alright, great.
Okay, take
Oh,
care, everyone. Bye bye.
alright, bye.